In today's episode, a man survives a bite from a great white shark while surfing alone off the coast of West Africa. While driving himself to the hospital, he pulls over to drink from a small creek where an even deadlier predator stalks him from the distance. Hit that like button and subscribe right now. This is the terrifying true story of John Doyle, attacked by a shark and a pride of lions in the same day. Welcome to Final Affliction. In 1993, John Doyle was surfing off the remote coast of Angola, West Africa. Unfortunately, he was attacked by a shark and had to get out of the water immediately. Injured and defenseless, John was subsequently attacked by a pride of lions. When wild animals attack humans frequently, there is a reason that can be pointed to. In such cases, people can often be blamed for unwittingly entering an animal's territory or ignoring the easily noticeable warning signs that are especially obvious in hindsight. In other cases, people's negligence gets in the way, carelessly forgetting how to respond correctly in a dangerous animal encounter, like using a canister of bear spray. However, in this particular peculiar case, hindsight does not help at all. Everything in today's episode can simply be attributed to terrible luck. The sun was out and about illuminating the dew-drenched tree leaves in Angola, West Africa in the fall of 1993. John Doyle woke up to the early morning sunrise, pushed aside his curtains, and took a gander at the weather outside. John excitedly got up from his bed. After all, the wet and humid climate of the fall season made things difficult for everyone. The heavy downpour of the past couple days prevented any outdoor activities. The bright sunlight was a welcoming sight for John. John had been itching to surf for days, and today looked like the perfect opportunity. The Denver, Colorado native went to his kitchen to prepare breakfast, pressing the coffee maker and prompting its first brew. After breakfast, John went out into the driveway and strapped his surfboard to the roof of his 1973 Land Rover. He checked his surfing essentials and decided it was time to go. He drove for a while, listening to music in his car. Although experienced surfers like John know the risks of venturing into shark-infested waters, the excitement of hitting a big wave was worth the risk. John never thought anything would actually happen to him. Arriving at the beach, John parked his car by the edge of the road overlooking the ocean. He took a whiff of the salty air and breathed in the ocean view. Spotting the waves from afar, John stretched for a while, warming up to an exciting surf session. Entering the warm waters, he paddled out into the open. He floated on the surface and sat on the surfboard, waiting for the right moment. When the wind arrived, John positioned himself on his stomach, head parallel to the stringer and toes pointing toward the surfboard's tail. He paddled slowly and then quickly, carefully watching the incoming waves from his peripheral vision. With the waves arriving to meet him, John pushed himself against the board. Just like that, John was surfing the waves. For a few seconds of bliss, he forgot where he was. However, when the wave eventually caught up to him, John was thrashed underwater. In his attempt to regain composure and position, John accidentally cut his right foot heel with a coral reef. Experience dictated to him that even a small cut was to be taken seriously, but it shouldn't be an ultimatum. He continued surfing till the morning gave way to the afternoon. Paddling on the calmer surface of the waters, John was thinking about other things, completely entranced by the ocean and the brightly burning afternoon sun. Suddenly, a chaotic movement from the corner of his eye caught John's attention. Approximately 20 meters from his position, he noticed some thrashing fins, indicating the presence of sharks. Wary of his cut, John immediately resorted to his training and decided to get out of the water. He noticed a wave forming and paddled his way toward it, gaining position to send himself inshore. Like he had rehearsed 1,000 times already, John prepped to lift himself up to his feet, catching the wave that would take him all the way to shore. In his panic, as the creature approached him, John fumbled on his feet and was thrown off his surfboard. As he regained composure, John swam toward his board frantically. However, he never reached it in time. Suddenly, John felt a searing pain in his right calf muscle. the shark attached itself to his leg, a massive great white shark. The water burst into chaos as John panicked and moaned in pain. However, despite the immense ordeal, he managed to remember his training. John reached down toward the creature and clocked the shark in the nose, forcing it to release its toothy grip. John scrambled onto his board and readied himself for the next incoming wave. However, he lay powerless, wallowing in the foamy white waves, unable to stand on his board. Suddenly, the shark attacked him again, this time from the side. John writhed in pain from the creature's bite, causing him to scream. Unfortunately, he was alone, and nobody could help him. Thinking on his feet, John had to make a difficult decision. He rolled off into the waters and used the tail end of his surfboard to defend himself against the marauding beast, jamming it into its mouth. The surfboard folded like paper as the now frenzied creature bit into it. John immediately jumped on the remaining half, still afloat, and was able to get into the next wave. Fortunately, this was enough to deter the creature, and John got away with his life. He crawled toward the beach and assessed the situation. His heart was beating fast as he looked over to his right leg. It was broken, bleeding, and mangled beyond belief. Still alone, John crawled and stumbled toward his Land Rover, parked near the main road. He grabbed some clothes from the passenger seat and quickly wrapped his severely injured leg. He desperately needed medical help, but it was an hour's drive away. Unbeknownst to him, John's ordeal wasn't over yet. Inside the car, John urgently started the engine and made his way toward the main road. He writhed in pain as he forced himself to use his injured leg to drive. He stopped for a bit to regain composure, took a few deep breaths, and decided to just wing it. John was no pushover, and his mental strength to remain calm in this situation was a sight to behold. For a few minutes, John drove away, still writhing in pain from the injury. However, as he got farther, John became more and more dehydrated. A few hours ago, he celebrated the 35 degrees Celsius heat, but now it turned against him. After a few more minutes, John's head began to ache. He couldn't take it anymore. He stopped at a nearby creek along the way and got out of his Land Rover. He laid down on a rock by the creek's edge and drank. He wanted to get out as fast as possible, but the searing pain in his right leg was now too much to bear. He had to rest. As he lay motionless on the rock's surface, an ominous beast was lurking in the background. A male lion attacked him suddenly. It had been stalking him since he took a step out of his vehicle. It bit its massive jaws on John's torso, tearing his flesh like a hot knife through butter. Despite the agonizing pain, John felt a surge of anger in his chest. After all, John was injured, but he certainly wasn't defenseless. He grabbed a stick nearby and ferociously defended himself against the ravaging beast. He poked at its eyes and nose and whacked it as powerfully as he could. The male lion backed up and retreated. However, the situation turned worse as John noticed a pack of lions waiting for him from afar. Operating on pure adrenaline, John propped himself up and dragged his injured body into the vehicle. Just as he was halfway inside the vehicle, the pack suddenly attacked him. They probably understood he was getting away. John's arms and legs were bitten countless times by the marauding lions. He screamed in pain, but nobody could hear him. Eventually, after fighting against the beasts with all his might, John somehow managed to enclose himself in the safety of his vehicle. Unfortunately, his body had now become so mangled he was unable to drive the vehicle. Under the searing heat, John sat in his vehicle, hoping the lions would go away, and they eventually did. John was left to deal with the worst enemy of all, time. With all the injuries he sustained throughout the day, John was running on fumes. Unable to drive himself to the hospital, all he could do was wait. Fortunately, after 30 minutes, a group of tourists passed by his vehicle and noticed the blood and chaos on the ground around the car. They peeked inside the vehicle and saw John, bleeding profusely from his injuries. They immediately rushed him to the hospital. John was promptly treated and received 250 stitches. According to experts who examined the shark bites, the creature was at least 3 meters in length. Miraculously, John recovered completely and was able to live a full life again with his wife Janice. He resides today in California. Although he still serves to this day, Janice doesn't allow him to go alone. Even though he did everything right, John was still a victim of these attacks for apparently no reason. Whether you call him lucky to be alive or unlucky to be attacked by a shark and a pride of lions on the same day, John proved himself to be a hardy man. If this happened to anyone else, they would have almost certainly met their terrifying final affliction.